Most weekends I come to you with my strategy and build for whatever map is thrown our way, but this weekend with a set of rotating maps, we have to do things a little differently. I like to have one set build because every single map has a good way to build around it and play around it as you go throughout the weekend. However, when they do these rotating maps, you kind of have to change things up. So today I want to show you exactly what I did to do just that and still slay out in trials. Over here in the armor and mods, you can see I'm keeping it simple with kinetic and void targeting. And when we get to the weapons in a second, I'll show you exactly why. For the rest of it, I have on my classic firepower, heavy-handed, and reaper mods. We can combine those with absolution, innervation, and orbs of restoration to get a bunch of energy back onto our abilities from the orbs of power we pick up. And last but not least, we have 2 bomber mods on, so we get 17% of our grenade energy back every time we use a rift. Using very basic and all-around good mods like this, as well as a good exotic like Astrosight Burst, is going to let us go on any map and just play regularly with our gun skill while also still having good boosts to our abilities. Now when it comes to the weapons over here, that's where it gets a little tricky. You see, we have Eternity, but then we have Meltdown, and then we have Anomaly. So basically what I just said to you is we have a pretty good medium range map, we have one of the closest range maps in the entire game, and then we have the longest range map in the entire game. So you can't just run one loadout. I mean, you could technically, you could stick on your 140 hand cannon on all these maps and do just fine. And if you do want to stick on one weapon through all your maps, I would suggest to you getting something out good like a Igneous Hammer here, and just using that because a 120 is good on almost any map in the game. However, here's what I did. This is one of my favorite 140 hand cannons that I haven't used for a while. I really like it on my Blink Warlock because it has Repulsor Brace on it. So obviously we have 85 range on this thing, but Repulsor Brace allows us to get a void debuff target killed, and we get a complete overshield from that, which is pretty simple when you have your Pocket Singularity, you have your Clarence going out, and you have something like your actual Blink with your Astrosight Burst, which can make people volatile. You take them out, and then boom, full overshield for you. This hand cannon feels awesome, and I was using this primarily on Anomaly and as well on Meltdown. However, when it came to Eternity, I would oftentimes switch off to my Bria's Love Scout Rifle. I would consider getting a good Pulse or Scout Rifle that is also going to be the same element as the actual other primary you're using, right? So that's just like I told you before, we have the Exalted Truth on, which is also Void. And then I can just switch to this, and I don't have to worry about switching the mods on my armor because I already have on the Void Unflinching and Targeting mods. But when it comes to our other weapon, we want to have something that can take people out very quickly, like an SMG or a shotgun. So for Anomaly specifically, I would switch over to my Fractithist shotgun right here. I don't like SMGs as much on Anomaly because people just ape, so I was doing the same thing a lot of the time. So I switched over here, so I'd use my Exalted Truth and then my Fractithist on Anomaly. But on the other 2 maps, I pulled out my Submission submachine gun. You can use a better submachine gun than this if you want to, but I just like having fun with different weapons in the game, and this is an SMG that I really enjoy the feel of. It has some fun perks on it, and overall it just feels really good, so I have some fun with it every now and again, and this weekend was one of those. So you can see what I mean by this weekend being a little different with the 3 maps. So what I would suggest to you, if you haven't got the hint by now, is just get a few weapons that share these same kind of things, like Void right here for this weapon and this weapon, and then keep those same kind of Void mods on, and then you can switch between those depending on what map you get every single match, and you'll be completely fine and set to go. For my Void 3.0 here, I have on a Nova Bomb Cataclysm. I have not been loving Vortex lately. Usually it's the better option. You can kill people more consistently inside of things like bubbles, at least that's how it should work, but for some reason the past like month, maybe the month and a half, these Vortex bombs have felt like they just haven't been working. They've been like pulling targets towards them, or sometimes just not even at all. And then the herd targets get there and they don't even die. They just walk out of the Vortex bombs. Something hasn't felt right with them, so I'm not using them at the moment. I'm switching over to Cataclysm full time for now, and I'll tell you how that goes very soon. Over here, I'm going to be using Healing Rift as usual. Blink because we're not some little floaty freak. No, we use Blink around here. Pocket Singularity because we don't really have a lot of great choices because, you know, it's not like we had something called like Atomic Breach or something, which was like an awesome melee, and then for some reason they just took it out of the game just because like fuck Warlocks, right? Oh my god. And then over here I'm using an Axion Bolt so we can chase down our targets. This is also a very good nade and just solid on every single map that we have in rotation this weekend. Then we have on Feed the Void so we can proc Devour, get some extra ability energy and heals off of that. And then Clarence, like I told you earlier, we are using him. You can call him Child of the Old Gods if you want to, but on my channel we call him Clarence. He's my son from the Void. You spawn a rift, he goes out, he sucks cheeks, locks down area, good on any single map in the entire game, but on these 3 he works very well. And then for our fragments, it's the usual stuff down here we have on Echo of Dilation, my favorite fragment in the entire game. While you're crouched, you're going to sneak faster, but the very good part about that is the enhanced radar resolution, so we can pick apart where our enemies are and see how we want to aggress upon them or play defensively. After that, we have Echo of Persistence, so that initial proc of our Devour up here is going to go from 10-second duration to a 15-second duration. And then we have Echo of Expulsion, so any avoid ability final blows from our nades or our melees over here are going to do a secondary explosion, so enemies that are holding hands are going to get taken out very easily. And last but not least, we have an Echo of Vigilance, so kind of like we have the Repulsor Race on our Exalted Truth. This is just another way for us to get easy Void Overshields, so we can keep aggressing upon our enemies quite easily. And with that, I think we have everything covered. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section or join the Blinkville Discord server. I'm going to have that linked in the top right and in the description. If you enjoyed the gameplay today at any point, you'll leave me a like or subscribe. I'd very much appreciate that. But I think that's everything out of the way, so without further ado, let's go ahead and blink on into it. Now, I've said this in the past, but I'll say it again. I'm not a fan of rotating map weekends. Usually the only time we see them is going to be the last weekend of a season. However, we're in the pits right now. We're literally all fighting it out in Nom, and even though Bungie is sitting up in the trees shooting down at us, we gotta just stay on our toes and see what we can do, so when they give us dog shit like this, we gotta do our best to just go along with it for the weekend, and that's what I was doing. You're gonna see I actually had a Peace Bond sidearm on it first. I was enjoying it. It's a really fun gun, but then eventually I was like, you know what, it's just like, it doesn't feel right now, so I put on the SMG with the shotgun in some matches. It felt much better, but I have a few clips of this gun that you're gonna see for a little bit here. But man, I really just like one map per weekend because I like to make my strategy, go in, make my strategy, make my build. I don't have to worry about all this hot swapping to different guns and like, ooh, here's this and that. And at least I simplified it. I was able to put it to a point where I said, okay, I have these 4 weapons and I'll switch between them depending on what map I get. And it's pretty simple. I just click 1 or 2 guns, boom, there you go, change it up. It's that easy, right? Like, that's fine. I'll do that, but I don't want to do that every weekend. I like when I can just go on and it's like, even when I load up into a Trials weekend and the first thing I see, I'm there, I'm sitting there, I'm ready, I get my Trials passage from Saint, immediately when it's time, and I go in, I queue into that match, I'm one of the first people of the weekend to play, and then I get shit slapped across the face with Anomaly and on my screen, and I'm just like, cool, why didn't you just ask me to grab my dick and wring it out like a fucking towel, because that's literally what you want me to do when you give me a map like Anomaly, but at least I know that's what it is for the weekend. At least I can make my little buns ready and say, this is going to be an aggressive weekend, I'm going to play with shotguns, I'm going to ape like crazy, and I'm going to use a 140 hand cannon, whatever it may be, and I have my strategy set, and I do that for the weekend. But instead, I have to be on my toes the entire weekend, and anytime I want to play, it has to be like, okay, well, let's switch to this, and oh, okay, now I have this map, and well, maybe I want to use this pulse instead. Well, this person's using this, and it's just like a whole bucket of worms, and that's not exactly my favorite snack unless they're of the gummy and sour variety. But, overall, this weekend was kind of fine. I believe I was on my flawless passage right here. It took me like 2 or 3 passages before I got my flawless one. It wasn't that hard. This one was actually like a loss because, man, like these enemies were, titty tier, not very good. I was wrangling them like it was easy as hell, but I just wasn't getting teammates for a while, which is, the classic Trials story as you're playing solo or duos, whatever it is. Like, you're either going to get like the worst random on this side of the Mississippi, or you're going to get the worst duo on this side of the Nile. And you're just like, what do you want me to do, Bungie? What do you want me to do? But eventually I started getting some better teammates. I was like, okay, as soon as you start getting some good teammates for a few matches, you have to seize that shit. Start playing your little disgusting, vape encrusted heart out and just go as crazy as you can, or else you're gonna get dick slapped, And you might be into that. I might want to do that to you if I see you on the streets with your fine looking little ass, but you still just gotta play your heart out and try your best. Like this match right here. My teammates weren't like terrible. They were fine, but then they both get clapped on this doorway, and I'm trying my best, and it's just another example of like Dominion ruining the game because I go crazy mode on these kids, blinking around, just completely outplaying them at every angle, but I have to lose the round because some little fucking loser outside wants to sit in a circle. Are you kidding me? That's I mean, I've complained about Dominion on and, since it existed, because they were just like, hey, how do we let skillless players, look like they did something? Let's put a circle in the middle of the map. And then they could, like, what if they should in the circle, and then they can win the entire game off of that? Would that be balanced? Do you think that'd be a good idea? When, we don't nerf Titans, and they've been the strongest class for, several years now. Do you think it's a good idea to make the Titan-centric game mode, the only game mode we have in Trials now? And then everyone in the Bungie HQ was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fucking carpet bomb your HQ when I get the chance. So let's just keep that in mind. That was complete sarcasm, by the way. Let's just clear that up legally. But for the most part, I finally started getting some good teammates, and I was just kind of seizing it. There were still matches like this where I was like 4-4. You can see sometimes even on this map, I would switch to the 140 hand cannon. It kind of depended what the enemy was doing. Like, I kept the SMG on this map. I never switched to shotgun on this map because, see, kids just want to run away like this. And like, there you go, die to Clarence. That's what you fucking get. Now I have Devour proc. I walk up behind your boy. He's shooting Clarence because he doesn't want to get sucked. And then I take him out. There we go. We clap that match up. Good stuff. Sometimes, like on this map, I would put on my shotgun if I just saw that, like, I think I need to rush and, players would sit back like that, just be little pussies, because that's what the D2 community is. And then he, just gets shit slapped because he got distracted as hell by me. And then I'm like, okay, hey boys, blink behind him. There you go. Bait another one, slide in, take the last one out myself. Like, sometimes that's all you have to do with your blink is just distract people, put a little bag in their face. Not intentionally. My finger got stuck on the control key is what happened. I actually, because it was cold. A cold breeze blew in my window, and then my finger started shivering, just like it does when it gets stuck inside your girl's stanky panky. And so then my finger was shivering, right? And so that hit the control key a few times. So I didn't bag. I was just a little cold, man. So that's what happened there. I feel like I haven't actually said my piece on all the changes they've been announcing lately in these TWABs that are coming to PvP. And it's kind of because, to me, every time I see one of these TWABs, they're like, it's going to be PvP-centric TWAB. Ooh, it's going to be such a big one. Here we go. And you're like, okay, sure. But all Bungie does is fucking blow hot air and give us nothing burgers in TWABs nowadays. If you haven't realized, go back. Look at any PvP-centric TWAB that we've had in the past 2 years, and I want you to actually fucking read them and understand they have been rehashing the same flea-bitten dog shit down our throats for years now. They say they're going to fix the same things over and over and over, and they just miss the mark every single time. And I've gone on rants about this lately. My Warlock video last week, and you can go watch that, which you guys received very positively, which is always a good signal to me to see that other people are very fed up and feeling the same way that I am. Which, a big part of the rant was basically just the current people that are in charge of PvP need to be fired. They need to be gone. This team doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know how to handle this game. I don't think they know how to play anything except for fucking Parcheesi, and they definitely don't know how to play D2 at the very least. So the people that are currently doing this don't know what they're doing. And every time I read one of these TWABs, you can just tell how absolutely out of their element they are. They're so just gone from this community, from this game. Nice melee whiff right there. Good job, Bungie. Hey, there's another point right there. But you can't fix your game. It's terrible. This game doesn't work anymore. And they just keep saying the same stuff. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix matchmaking. How many times do you have to say you're going to improve matchmaking before you actually do it in a meaningful manner? So many times now, you have sat here, looked me in the butt cheeks, and promised you were going to improve the actual matchmaking. Guess what? The matchmaking used to work 1,000 times better 3 years ago, and then you killed it, you neutered it for no reason. You looked PvP in the eyes, you ripped its balls off, and you laughed like a maniacal fucking genius. But the only thing you are is morons. Stop trying to fix what was never broken. There's a level of improvement and change you can bring to a product, to a game like this, without having to ruin everything. But somehow they just ruined everything, and instead of going back and saying, we made a mistake, which is what you should be looking to do as a fucking adult in life, and say, I made a mistake, I'm gonna go back, and I know I shouldn't have done this now, it's fine, let's revert this, let's go back to that. The actual thing we had before worked. But no, there's been no reversion. And now we're just sitting here, and they want to complain and be like, oh, we don't think we should just make Trials 3s again. Yeah, obviously you shouldn't. You know what you acknowledge in the TWAB? You acknowledge that some of the healthiest and most fun weekends you've ever had in Destiny 2 Trials of Osiris was the weekends when Freelance Node was active. And that was my favorite weekends ever. I played a lot more solo back then than I do now, but even still, I would love to see that come back. If you want to kill the duo experience, that is fine. Because I said this in my last video, I'll say it again, all D2 devs do is they use solo players as disgusting little tools to fill matches and nothing else. They don't care about the solo player experience. All they care about is filling up these lobbies, making money, and nothing else. Put some flashy new rewards in the game, no one cares because you don't give a shit about your solo players, which is a big population of players. And when we go in and all we're getting half the time is these terrible 2 stacks with no lobby balancing, sometimes as a solo player, this happened to me 4 times on Friday. I got shoved in a match as a solo with 2 other solos on my team against 3 stacks. What the fuck is going on? How could that ever happen? It should never happen is the answer. But that's what I'm saying, they're so completely out of touch. It's pathetic. Freelance needs to come back, and it needs to be there full time. It should have never left. Freelance weekends should have never left, but more than that, it should just be a full-time game mode. So many players would come back to this game if you put Freelance back in the game. And guess what? When Freelance was in the game, I would still play duos sometimes, because you still could. It was like back when we had survival and stuff. You would just go in, and you would go in a 2-stack into the 3-stack playlist. And you would definitely still find people, you would find those randoms that were still solo stacking. Like, it happened. It did happen. But if you want to say buy 2 stacks completely, make a 3-stack playlist, and make a 1-stack playlist. But I don't think you need to do that. I think all you need to do is make a freelance mode. That's like, it's just so simple. All they do is act like they have all this crazy data, and they have all the facts, and that they're lining up, and that everything they do is for a reason. But you can take 2 looks at them and see that they don't know what they're doing in the slightest, and that whatever data they have is completely not being interpreted correctly. Whoever's looking at this shit is not doing it correctly. But that's, I think, where it comes back to the fact that they're just so out of touch. They're clearly not playing this game to any competitive level, at least. And you can just tell that by the way that they make these changes. But yeah, you tell me how you guys feel about all that stuff. But I'm kind of stumbling my words right now because I'm just like annoyed. But it's true. It's just like they just keep rehashing the same BS to us over and over. And then, so like if you're falling for it, please stop, because you can go back. This teammate would not get in my way. You can go back and see that just nothing ever changes with them. They just throw the same shit in our face over and over, and they act like they're going to do something, but then they never do. So please don't be fooled by them. They're liars. They don't care about anything but the bottom line, and the bottom line is money. And they are so out of touch that unless the people who are in charge are ever gone, this game will never get better. So just keep that stuff in mind, especially if you're going to keep playing it. That's things that you have to come in terms with. Like this Nova Bomb. Imagine if this thing worked. Look at that. What do you think was wrong with that right there? What do you think was wrong with the image of me throwing a Nova Bomb point blank straight into a guy standing in a bubble, it popping the bubble, getting no hit marker regs, and then no tracker spawn? That was a cataclysm. Just keep you, informed there. Just, nothing. And that was the 3rd time that day that I had that happen with that same cataclysm. So, yeah. Fun. But hey, I hope you guys do enjoy this weekend. I had a fine time getting these clips for you, and I'm always happy to make y'all a video, but I'll have some good content out this weekend, don't worry about that. But I do appreciate you guys. Again, leave me a like, subscribe if you want to, but hopefully you just enjoyed the video. Leave me your opinions on those TWABs and stuff. There are some good parts that I didn't even touch on. Maybe I'll talk about those in my Hunter video and stuff, like the health changes and stuff. I like that stuff, but especially the TWAB with like all the matchmaking stuff they were just talking about, in this past Thursday that they released. I just had to touch on that because it really pissed me off, because they're just blowing hot air up our asses, and they're acting like they're doing something when they don't care, and they're not going to do anything correctly. So I just had to put that out there and remind everyone not to get disillusioned with the BS that they spit into your face, because that's exactly what it is. It's BS. But all that being said, I really do appreciate you guys, and as always, have a great day, Guardians.